Who's the most inspirational person that you've never met? Put it in the comments below. Mine is David Lynch, and he passed last week, which is very sad for me. And I'm kind of missing him on this earth. But I was thinking about inspirational people, and here in our weekly career path talk. And there could be many inspirational people in our lives, and some that we haven't met and some that we have. But what if one of the most inspirational people that you haven't met is your future self that's standing in the place you want to be? And what advice do you think that they would have for you? Put that in the comments below too. And if you're a David Lynch lover like me, put your favorite David Lynch movie in the comments below so those who haven't discovered him know where to start. Hi there, I'm Kristen. Welcome to my channel, In the Good. This is the career path, and let's get to it. Let's see what wants to be said this week. Okay. All right, we have change and rebirth, okay? All right, so there's change and rebirth, so there's something new coming in. So how does that feel to you, to know that there's change? And in order to initiate this change, there is a rebirth. There's something coming out of you. There is some creative inspiration. There's a goal. There's a dream. There's something that you have been attaining to that wants to come out. And perhaps that is inspired by your deep desire for change in your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean you want to overhaul the whole thing. This could be a very specific change. If you're resonating so far, give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Judgment. So we've got a lot of this is, second chances. This is coming back around. This is another rebirth card, very, very much. This is almost like rebirth of different parts of yourself that want to come together in union. Maybe there have been parts of yourself that you've put on the back shelf, you've ignored it. It hasn't been convenient for other people, perhaps in your workspace or concerning your work environments, even, personal people, personal friends and lovers in your life, where it hasn't been convenient for you to be in and really all these different parts of yourself, showing all these different parts of yourself, or claiming all these different parts of yourself. This is a reclaiming. This is reconciling with all the parts of yourself, not wanting to hide anymore. Page of Wands, Ace of Wands. We're taking all of them that chunked out. Let's just do it. Ace of Wands, Page of Wands. Starting with those two. So this is, you already have the idea and you've started to go with it. This isn't something completely new, right? This is a reckoning. This is something coming back. This is an aching itch inside you that won't leave you. This is this desire to love what you do every single day, or to make change within where you are, something that has to be changed. It has to be changed for the greater good of your well-being where you are, and probably for the well-being of everybody involved. And you've already started, but maybe you don't know where to go. It's new. It's, even if you're high level, there's something new. There's something that is within your heart's desire, within your gut. And you've already made the moves towards it. And perhaps it's like, where do I go next? What do I do next? With the King of Pentacles, because you want to really grow something. You know that you can manifest this thing, and it can be here. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can sense it. It's abundance, it's real. It's using the spark of passion, making the first moves, whatever they are, even if it's, I've never really done it this way before. Or people will be like, well, why is this king, right? Because you've already got this within you. You've already done this in one way or another in your life. You have. Why is this person who is very structured, right? The King of Pentacles, very structured, very practical, very grounded. Why, are they wanting to do this completely new thing, to attack this project, attack this, work environment in this completely different way? This is not normally how they act. And it's like, well, because I want to bring all the parts of myself, right? I want change. I want to rebirth. I want to birth all the different parts of myself and bring it into this workspace, into this work environment. Perhaps it's your own business. I mean, for some people, you're going to resonate with, you are starting your own thing. But this is about claiming your own path no matter where you are, whether it's your business, whether it's corporate, whether it's a small nonprofit, whether it's a little grocery store, whatever it is. It's like there's a new place to go. There's a new path to go on. There are new services to be offered. There are risks that need to be taken. And you're not going to know what works until you try. And that's the fear of the King of Pentacles, right? Because you know that what you're doing is working and it's creating what you need in your life to be secure, to pay the bills. But there is this dream, there is this hope, there is this knowingness within yourself, this deep knowingness that you've got something else here that could make it bigger. But you feel like a youth. You feel like, you're just starting out with this, and maybe you really, really are. Birth can be very painful. You nurture something and you care for it. And there's a incubation period in the womb where, it can't birth until it's ready to come out. And you can't stop a birth. You can't, like, when it's ready to come out, it's ready to come out. And if you try to stall, if you want to stay in the stuck energy, if you're feeling, it's normal and human to feel insecure, to feel, I don't know what's going to happen. What if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I make mistakes along the way? But if something wants to come out of you, if there's a creative fire that needs to be birthed, if there's a new idea, if there's a new pathway, if there are new resources that you want to bring in, maybe there are new people that are very different from the people that you're already surrounded by. But there's someone, and they're very different. And to some people, they may seem like a risk. They may seem like, do they really know what they're doing? Perhaps you are bringing younger people into your business because you want fresher ideas. You want to get your thumb on the pulse of what's trending now. Maybe you want to attract a different kind of audience. You want to bring in new kinds of customers. You want to bring in different products. And so you need people that have a different perspective from what you have and from what perhaps is already there. And there can be these birthing pains from perhaps people around you. You've got to trust yourself. You've got to trust yourself. Two of Pentacles at this crossroads, feeling like, will I be able to balance this all? People questioning you. Do you know what you're doing? What's going on here? Seven of Pentacles, the reevaluation of, this is what I've already grown. This is what I've already produced. But what else am I going back to seed, right? What have I planted a period of time ago, whether it was a year ago or 6 months ago or a couple of weeks ago? I planted something else and now it's ready to birth, right? This change is upon you and you can't ignore it. With the Hanged Man, you don't want to stay in this stuck energy. There's a time and a place for patience and for that incubation period, for the nurturing, the gathering of the ideas, the giving yourself the time in this birth process to feel confident, whatever work you need to do on yourself, right? Whatever processes you need to go through. Perhaps you went and you spoke with a therapist, or you found a new mentor, or you started hanging out with a different circle of people. For some of you, you were kind of just investigating and maybe going to different networking events, or getting on LinkedIn for some of you, or chatting up on social media and just like connecting with different people just to see what it felt like. And some of it felt good, and some of it felt weird, and some of it felt strange, and some of it didn't feel right. But in this process, you really learn something about yourself. And I think sometimes things can feel weird or a little bit dangerous when they're new. And it's this internal trust that you have, no, that's a red flag, that's not right for me, that's not for me. Or this is feeling a little dangerous or dicey because I'm not used to it. But there's something about these new people or these new things that you've been investigating that it's sort of like you're drawn to it a little bit, and maybe you don't want to be exactly that, but there's something inspired that you've caught on to. There's something inspired that's making you feel like, I don't want to suspend myself anymore. I don't want to keep myself exactly where I am. And it's okay to be in a phase where, you're gaining these new perspectives. We have to go through these new perspectives and reevaluate them and see, what baton do we want to grab, right? How, what parts of ourselves have been dormant, that are going to be useful for us, that we perhaps been told by society or friends or family or other coworkers, oh, that part of you, that creative part of you is not going to be useful in this industry, or, whatever it is, like, we don't need that. And in fact, that's what's needed the most. Because even if it doesn't manifest exactly as painting, it's this, your ability to really be in flow, right? With, perhaps I'm feeling some of you with color. Maybe it's something to do with graphics or digital graphics, or something about the way that you're in flow with color or in flow with things. That's really going to be good. It's going to be a good valued asset to something that is more structured. That this structure needs to be in a little bit more flow, and you're the one that can do it. Because this is the death card, which is another card. I mean, we've got change. We've got rebirth. We have death. Something is officially closed. And that it doesn't mean that there can't be a function of this thing that continues to carry you on while you figure out and jump into this next place, right? That what you have created that's keeping you stable, that's keeping you safe, that's keeping the bills paid, that's keeping, all of that can function for you. It is stable. It is not on shaky ground. You're not going to lose it. It just feels, imbalanced because this new place that you're going doesn't feel stable yet, because it hasn't fully been created, because you haven't given it, the time that it needs to get to here. You have to remember, you've already been here. There's nowhere for you to go but here. But sometimes, we have to be in this place. Where's that wand, the page of wands. Sometimes it feels like, oh my God, I know nothing. I have to start all the way back here. There's a clear message that you are going to be carried through financially. You don't need to worry. You're going to have what you need. Even if it's slightly less or it fluctuates a little bit, don't worry. You are going to be carried through because you are meant to get to here. You are meant to go through this rebirth process. You are meant to completely let go and say goodbye to what is no longer serving you, to it can be very difficult sometimes to say goodbye to the thing that was important to us, that was a place of safety, that it was a great place of learning. It got us where we are now, but it's pretty clear that you're going someplace else, right? And it can feel impractical. It's like, I've already created all of this. How am I going to sow these new seeds? What kind of water does this plant need? What kind of food does it need? How much sun does it need? Or am I going to kill it if I give it too much sun? If I give it the wrong food? I don't know. It is this learning process. You know, there's no way around making the mistakes to figure things out, but that doesn't mean that you're not moving forward. You're absolutely moving forward. Every single time you figure out something that you don't want, or you don't want to do it that way, that is so incredibly valuable, part of the process of reaching the ultimate goal of where you want to go. And having this structure, having this plan, having this, you know, having these ideas around it, but also knowing that, you know, there's a place that you can go to that even our own imaginations won't let us go there, you know, out of fear. Because we're worried about, are we going to have the strategy? You know, are we going to betray ourselves? You know, how many times have I said, you know, how we all said, we're going to do this. This is the year. And then for whatever reason, it doesn't happen. And it's okay, because sometimes we have bad years. Sometimes emotionally, it is yucky. We're going through very important processes in transformation, in change, in rebirth, in reconciliation with ourselves, reconciliation with who we really are, with what we don't really want, with getting the clear message. Yeah, I've been allowing this to stand, and it can't stand anymore. You know, a lot of times we're standing our ground, and we're keeping our everything protected, and we're keeping it safe, and that's important sometimes. But other times, it's just like, you know, let this fall away. You don't need to take everything with you. You just need to take what you need. And if people are doing what they're doing, I mean, you have to have no concern about that. Not let that keep you in a stuck energy around, well, next time it'll be better. In the spring it will be better. Next year it will be better. Well, let me see how this goes first before I make a move. Sometimes you just have to jump. Sometimes you just have to jump and see how it goes. And again, you know, you're not going to know until you get there, until you start trying. But there are steps that you know that you can take. There are things that you can do that you know will work, that will move you forward as well. You know, so don't let things like what you may perceive as small achievements, you know, all those small achievements add up. And at the end, you find yourself looking back and seeing that you're in a different place. You're more where you want to be. You're finding your North Star. You're finding your dreams, you know, from a place of, again, you're from a healed place, not trying to go after your dreams and goals from I have to prove this to myself, or I've got to prove this to those people, or I've got to prove this to my society or family. No, this is like when we come to a place of, you know, rebirthing our authentic self. And accepting all the parts of ourselves, including our perceived failures, including, you know, the traumatic events, and including what didn't go well, and taking in what we've learned, using those things as valued wisdom, letting go of the pain, acknowledging it, having the grief around it, but also, like, at some point, you just need to, you know, all of our experiences are always going to be with us. It's just a matter of how we want to perceive them. I'm going to tell you a David Lynch story. He did a movie called Dune. It was the original Dune, way, you know, before the Dune that we know now that is so incredibly successful. He did a version of Dune, and it absolutely did terrible. And part of the reason why it did terrible was because he was in contract with the studios. He thought that he was going to have all this creative say. And long story short, they cut the film up the way they wanted to cut it up. They made like a 3.5 hour film, or a 4 hour film, or whatever it was, less than 2 hours. It was a disaster. Although there were really cool things in the film. I mean, when you get in there, but it by all accounts was perceived as a disaster, not only by the world, but by him. And when I was listening to this interview, you know, after he died, just a couple of days ago, and he talked about, you know, it was a failure, but it really taught him a lot. And from that failure, the next film he made, Blue Velvet, was a huge hit. It won at Cannes Film Festival. It was nominated for several Oscars. What came out of the failure was this great creative rebirth, because he knew he needed to change something. He couldn't work a certain way anymore. So for him, it was about, I need to have creative control, so I can't go to big studios anymore. I'm going to find money. He ended up doing it in Europe. He found his way, and you'll find yours. But if he had just become bitter about it and hung on to it, as opposed to going through the grief, I'm sure, going through the complete disappointment, but then using that to be in discovery. Got my inspired person I have never met story in this reading. I'm so excited. This is the Hermit reversed. So, it's not about spending too much time again in this place of of waiting. You're done waiting. The time is now, and you've got what it takes. Because from whatever's come before, you have to realize that the greatest thing that you've ever created, your greatest achievement, is the next thing coming. And that's the truth. Mwah. Thank you for being here. These readings are always here for you whenever you want. I hope to see you often. Please join the channel. I'd love to have you a part of the community if you are resonating and want to hang out with me more and have more of these talks with me and the kitties. And I will see you in the next one. Love reading on Friday, general energies on Monday, and check out some of the meditations I created for you. All right, bye. Bye, friends.